My apologies, people. I think need to do this. All right. All right. Are you able to see my screen now?
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. So everyone, if you're on your laptop, you can just go to menti.com and then write in the code here. Maybe Nirab, maybe I can have you type in the code in the chat as well. If you're using your phone or want to use your phone instead, you can just pull up your camera and yeah, scan the QR code. There will be, okay, I see some people in already. Fantastic. Nirab just shared the code. So that's great. You will see, so this is the second Hackfest webinar. And so there will be some answers here, some response here already, but let's yeah, let's see what your expectations are. So this is the first question. What are your expectations for this webinar? This Menti is self-paced, which means that you can go back and forth as you wish in your own pace. So if it's 8 a.m. and you're still in bed and you're not feeling, your brain is there right now, you can just let us know after, and I'll keep an eye on this. But maybe let's just have a look at some of the response here. So get a deep knowledge on OSM. And I think some of these might be from the previous webinar, but some of the expectations here, learn the outline of the training flow, to get an idea about OSM Hackfests, but also OSM data model and how to use them in other applications. So for instance, APIs, to know what's going on, perfect, learn new things, fantastic. How do you access, download data, and upload map in OSM? I would like to learn new features in OSM related to map collaboration. Oh, fantastic. And then we also had learn more about OSM data extraction and usage. So there's, yeah, as you can see, Nirab, there's quite some variety. Since it's going to be my first hackathon, I believe I will get idea about the Hackfest as well as OSM. Yes, get more idea about Hackfest, question mark. Learn about new skills on transferring on knowledge about OSM. Wonderful. I think we will cover all of this. Am I right, Nirab?
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be able to like cover all of these.
Yeah.
We're going to touch upon all of these, but yeah, hopefully we can satisfy you guys.
But this got to be also good before the actual Hackfest starts, so the partners can also see what people are looking for here. So we have a couple of more, then we can jump on to the next one. So get an idea about OSM Hackfest and how it works. Also to learn more on OSM and how I can contribute to effectively to make this platform more effective. This important platform more effective. How to use maps produced from OSM. Okay. Wonderful. Keep typing this in, and I'll just go to the next. Oh yeah, actually there's questions. I'm not sure if this is from the last one. No. Okay, no questions. Oh, that's right. We only had one question. That's right. Okay.
Okay, so I think we can go back. So let me share my screen now.
Yes.
So thank you everyone for joining today. So we are from Open Mapping Hub Asia Pacific, and hot humanitarian OpenStreetMap team. So we do a lot of activities around community engagement, capacity building within the open mapping ecosystem. So uh, you can go to the hot website and learn more about like different things happening at hot. And for today, like the session will be facilitating. So it's going to be me. So I'm the Open Tech and Innovation Specialist at the AP Hub, and then Sina is also going to cover the later part about how to generate ideas and how to use different tools for making your ideas from good to great. So Sina is the Open Innovation Facilitator at HOT. So Sina, do you want to add anything?
I think you covered most of it. Yes. And I'll just say also, we do have, if there's any questions, so I'm currently based in the tech and innovation team at HOT, the global team, and we have a couple of colleagues here also. So if you do have any questions around, some of the HOT stack, drawing on OSM and tech, we're here. Thanks, Nirav.
Okay, so let's start with introduction to OpenStreetMap. Uh, but uh, so this is just like the outline of what we are going to cover today. So we are going to talk a little bit of what's FOSS and what's open data. Then we go into like what's OpenStreetMap. Then we see like different use cases where OSM has been used. And then because the Hackfest is targeted towards like mostly CS and IT students, we will try to like provide few examples of why it's relevant for those CS and IT students, and then we'll get a little bit into what OSM data model is, like how data is represented in OpenStreetMap and how you can get OSM data. And then we'll get into like different techniques that you can use for generating ideas for a Hackfest. So what is open data? So simply put, like open data is something, it's a data that can freely be used, reused, and redistributed. So those are three keywords, right? Used, reused, and redistributed by anyone without any legal or technical restrictions. So there should not be like any legal or technical restrictions. So we're going to get into that in a bit. But before understanding that, like I just wanted to share with you like this example. So on the right we have Coca-Cola, and on the left we have egg fried rice, right? So most of you probably know like what are the ingredients that go into making the egg fried rice, but probably you don't know like what are the ingredients that goes into making Coca-Cola. So what that enables is like for egg fried rice you can make it your own, right? You can experiment with recipes, you can try out new things, you can remix, and you can even sell those products. But you can probably do that with Coke. So it's similar with data as well, right? So what when you have like open data, it allows you to do a lot of those things, like try out different things, remix it, and then maybe also like build something on top of that. And when you talk about openness, like there are two very important aspects, like legally being open and technically being open. So when you say legal openness, like there are things like uh, licensing, whether you are allowed to legally like use that data, build on top of it, or share. And then when you talk about technical openness, like are there any technical barriers? So for example, you get the data but it's a very cumbersome PDF file that you cannot use it. Is it machine readable or not? Like
Apologies, Nirav. That was my mistake. You're muted. You're muted right now. I'm so sorry. There's there is some background noise, and I'm just trying to get rid of it.
Okay, yeah, I also hear the background like noise.
Maybe we could just ask everyone to just mute themselves.
Yeah, I think. Uh, so please.
Khan, I think it's coming from Khan, and
Yeah,
Yes,
maybe.
let's give him a moment, maybe like to mute himself.
Ah, yeah, perfect. Thank you, Khan. Sorry about that, Nirav.
Okay, yeah, sure. So there are like two aspects to openness. So one is legal openness, and then another is technical openness. Like with legal openness, it means like whether you are legally allowed to, like get that data, build on top of that, and then reshare that data. And usually it's defined, in licenses. And with technical openness, like it's how difficult it for you to like get that data and work with that data. So you could get the data, but it could be in a very difficult format for you to understand, or like work on it, and it's not like machine readable. And also, like, one thing we need to understand is openness is like a continuum, right? So it can be like, it's open or not open. Like, it's about like how open is it. And when you combine, like open and data, then you get open data. So there, like, it's about availability of data and access of data, reuse and redistribution of data, and how much people can participate on the uses of that data. And open data allows, like different things, like innovation, efficiency, transparency. So that is why open data is important. And a similar concept is free and open source software. So free and open source software is like similar to open data, but like in terms of software. So where the software is has the source code available, and then it does not necessarily have to be free, as in, like there's no cost, but there are like different forms of freedom. So you should be free to use that software, you should be free to study that software, you should be uh, free to like copy that software, you should be able to like modify and redistribute that software. So those are the freedom that allows that FOSS, free and open source software, allows you to have. And a perfect example of, like, both open data and open source, free and open source software is OpenStreetMap, right? So what is OpenStreetMap? OpenStreetMap, to understand it simply, it's a Wikipedia of maps. So if you think of Wikipedia, uh, and if you think in terms of map, so oh, it's that. So it's a crowdsourced community project to map the whole world, and it started back in 2004. So in 2004, like Steve Coast, when he was doing his master's thesis, he wanted to map all the bicycle parking lots in his university as his master's thesis, but he could not find the base map. He could not afford it, let's say, because the ordnance survey, they had a cost recovery policy, and as a student he couldn't afford. And then he started out, saying like, I'm going to make the map of whole world. And uh, and now, like, OpenStreetMap has from 2004, like starting with that one person in a mission, like to almost more than 8 million registered users. Like there are multiple reasons why OSM took off, but uh, two major things about OSM, why it was so successful is, first thing is like it allowed everyone to map. So you can, like, go and then map and then upload your local knowledge. So it was not just steep coast who was mapping, but OpenStreetMap allowed like a lot of people from a lot of different places to map. And the second reason is like not only map but also like to use the data under the ODBL license. Everybody was like, able to use that data that was created unless they followed the open licensing. And as I said, like anyone can map in OpenStreetMap. So there are communities of bikers, there are communities of students, there are communities of volunteers, there are even like government employees. So we can map in OpenStreetMap, and then everyone can map in OpenStreetMap. And the driving philosophy behind this is this idea of local knowledge, right? So there is this famous quote by Levy written in this 1997 book called Collective Intelligence, where he says like no one knows everything, everyone knows something. So how it translates to OpenStreetMap is in OpenStreetMap, I would probably be a good person to like map my home areas near Kathmandu, but maybe I won't be able to map like the area in Copenhagen as well as maybe Sine. So Sine has the local knowledge of there, but I have a better local knowledge of like Kathmandu. So whoever has that knowledge is better suited to map, and that's why like everybody needs to and can contribute to OpenStreetMap. And we have seen like steady rise of number of registered users in OpenStreetMap. So you can see and there are more than 8 million registered users. And from 2010-11, it took a very massive rise, because during that time, in the Haiti earthquake, we saw its potential, humanitarian potential. And after that, a lot of humanitarian agencies use OpenStreetMap for disaster response. And at any given time, uh, like now, at any moment, there are around 800 to 900 people actively editing the OpenStreetMap data. So so that was like the philosophy of OpenStreetMap. But how do you actually map in OpenStreetMap, right? So the first thing is it's uh, it's like the most traditional way to map in OpenStreetMap. So you just go out and you do surveys. So you can use paper, just take notes, come back to your computer and digitize. Or there could be like specific tools. Like there is this website called fieldpapers.org, where you can go and print out what's already existing in OpenStreetMap, then take that field paper, go out to the field, mark all the new things or things you need to edit, and then come back and scan the QR code and then edit. So that's like the more traditional approach, like where you go to the field and map. Uh, but now what's possible is, because we have smartphones, a lot of people have smartphones. Mobile data collection is much more popular, right? Because uh, there is this inbuilt GPS uh, in the smartphones that allows you to like locate, and that allows a lot of different possibilities for mapping and data gathering. So there's a lot of tools that are available for mobile data collection. So one very popular tool is Mapillary, that allows you to capture street imagery and upload it, and that can be used to then later like digitize things in OpenStreetMap. There's also like another tool called MapSwipe. So MapSwipe is like where you can just look at satellite imagery, swipe and identify different features, and then that also can later be used to add and edit data in OpenStreetMap. If you want to directly edit OpenStreetMap, there's also this app called GoMap, which you can use to edit directly. And there are also like other many apps, mobile apps, that you can use to uh, use OpenStreetMap. So there are like organic maps, OSM, and but we can't cover all of those. So I'm just giving you some examples. So that was field mapping. So another way you can do is you can also do remote mapping. So remote mapping is like you don't go to the field, but you just sit, you look at the satellite imagery, and then from there you can trace. So there are a few things that you can just like look at the satellite imagery and identify. So for example, you can identify buildings, you can identify roads, you can identify uh, rivers, ponds. So those can be done directly, using remote mapping. And in order to do remote mapping, there are different tools, but the easiest is you just go to the OpenStreetMap website, openstreetmap.org, and use the inbuilt ID editor. So there is this edit button. If you click on that, it opens up the ID editor. And there's also another tool, hot tasking manager. When a lot of people are mapping in a single area, you need some form of coordination, so that there is no overlap or conflict. So hot tasking manager is a tool that allows that collaboration. So you can see here, like in this GIF, like how the hot tasking manager uh, allows uh, people to collaborate. So where the mapping area is then divided into grids. So uh, so this is like whenever we need to do a mapping campaign, we a project manager sets up that this area in tasking manager, and then the mappers come, they select a particular grid, and that locks the grid for them, and then they can work on this grid, knowing that no other people will be working in this grid. So let's get into like some use cases of OpenStreetMap. So the first use case is like as we are like humanitarian OpenStreetMap team. So and OpenStreetMap is very much used and very much helpful in a lot of humanitarian response. And now, like even for preparedness as well, it's starting to be used as tools for anticipatory reaction as well. So here I'm showing you two maps from two response in which OSM was used. So the one in left is the Turkey Syria earthquake, and the one in right is uh, the Nepal earthquake. So so during the Turkey Syria earthquake, what happened was we made the task, and a lot of mappers then mapped using the task. So what that allowed was the responding agencies to use that data and then plan their operations accordingly. And one very unique use case that came forward was there was this doctor who was working to stop the outbreak. So what happens is whenever there is a disaster, after that there is a risk of disease outbreak as well. And in order to stop that those outbreak, he was tracing uh, where all the patients are coming from, which tents all the patients are coming from. And in order to do that, he used OSM data. So that was very interesting use case. So another for Nepal. So during the Nepal earthquake, what happened after the earthquake was people went out to the field and they made tents, and they stayed in those tents, and the Nepal army, because their operations, they needed to target, like they need to provide all the food, shelter, and medicine and water, all of those things to the area where those tents are. They needed to know where those tents are. So the OSM community, the global OSM community, using remote mapping, they identified, like all those temporary shelters that has been made after the earthquake, and then that was passed to Nepal army, which was then used by Nepal army to plan their logistics. So these are like some use cases where OpenStreetMap is used, in humanitarian response. So another one, for this, I'll share a video. So this is an example of OpenStreetMap being used in agriculture and food security. So I just wanted to show this example, because this shows like you can go beyond just humanitarian crisis. There are other places where you can use OpenStreetMap as well. So let me share. So can you guys see the video?
Yes, and we can hear the sound also perfectly.
Okay. Yeah, so hopefully you were able to follow. The video was in Nepali, but there were subtitles, and hopefully you were able to follow that. I just wanted to present this because this is one example where OpenStreetMap has been used in a different use case. So here, like for agriculture, uh, and uh, and then it can also be used for like other areas as well. So for example, like local governance, environment, forestry. So there are like a lot of different application areas. So you can like think about it. So let me go back to the slides. Let me share my screen first. Yeah, so not only like for non-profit and those activities, but like OSM is being used by businesses as well. So one example is Meta. Meta uses the data from OpenStreetMap. So another example, which is quite big in Southeast Asia, is Grab. So Grab also uses OpenStreetMap data, and there are also like very local solutions as well. So there is this company in Nepal called Bato, which provides location maps and routing APIs. So they take OSM data, built on top of that different services, and provide that services to people who want those map data. So you can use OSM data for business as well. So I just wanted to share that. And why would you want to join the OpenStreetMap movement, right? Especially for CS and IT students. So first thing is OpenStreetMap is a free source of data which you can use in whatever way you wish, right? So usually when you think about map, you just think about like the rendering, right? The map rendering and the location. So for example, like in in this screenshot, you can see like there's this hospital, Manipal Hospital. The Manipal Hospital, you know its location, you know its area by the rendering. But what you don't know is also like there is this underlying attribute data as well. So, for example, how many beds do Manipal Hospital have? So OSM, if the mapping is done, OSM allows you to get that data, and then you, if you want, you can add those data as well in OSM. So for example, if you look at left, you can see there is this capacity beds 750. So now I know, like Manipal Hospital has 750 beds. It has ambulance facility, it has ICU facility, it has neonatal ICU facility, it has an operating theater, uh, it has a ventilator. So especially like during COVID time, not just knowing like whether there is a hospital is important, but also like whether the hospital provides like ventilators was very important. So those kind of data are also very important, and OpenStreetMap allows you not just like uh, the the map itself, but also like the map data. And if you want to add some kind of new data, you can like define what do you want, and then add that data as well. So another thing is even the map, like how it looks, you can style it in your own way. So here you can see an example of OpenStreetMap data being used for 3D rendering. So there are specifications in OpenStreetMap which allows you to like uh, map a building in a 3D manner, and then uh, there are different renderers that use that data and then render that in 3D. So what OSM allows you is, for your project, you can get that data, and then you can make very custom uh, styles and tiles. So so that is something that is very useful, and especially this is important for localizing map, right? So features that are very important, let's say in US, might not be the same features that needs to be highlighted for map users in Philippines or Sri Lanka or Nepal. So you can style the map in your very local way. So that allows you to do. And another very important thing is the OSM provides you hands-on learning opportunity, not just because of the map, but the whole underlying, like technology and then software around it, which are also open. So here I saw a screenshot of the hot uh, GitHub repo. So you can go and look at like all the code for the tools and services that our team is developing. And then you, if you want, you can like also be involved and add, or if you think of something that you want to build on top of that, you can use that to build on top of that as well. So so it is just example of one organization that is out, and there are like so many different multiple uh, products around this ecosystem, and most of them are free, so free and open source. So for you as a CS and IT students, it's a very nice opportunity to like get some hands-on learning opportunity. And what this allows you is, it allows you to like play with cutting edge technologies. There are things like uh, drone mapping, drone imagery processing, uh, AI assisted mapping. So there are a lot of different cutting edge technologies that goes on with mapping, because there is like a lot of new things happening in this field. And a lot of these things are free and open source. The data is available, the code is available, the software is available. So what you can do is you can try out, you can interact with people, you can gain new skills, you can gain experience, you can network, and then you can like take that thing and then make something very local to you, and then create that product. So that what like OSM allows you to innovate. So let's get a little bit into how things are in OpenStreetMap, and how you can like access that data. So everything you see in OpenStreetMap is there are two aspects to it. So one is like the location itself, the geometry, it's called geometry, where things are. And the other is like the attributes, what things are. So for like representing where things are, there are like uh, we add like features. So for representing everything in OSM, they're represented as features. So, and features can be three types. So it can either be nodes, it can be either ways, or relations. So nodes are like just a point. So there's something that you don't know the boundary of, or is as can be represented as a single dot, single a latitude and longitude. Then you use nodes. And for something like that has more than one points, that can be area, or that can be a some long features like road or river, then you use things like polylines and polygons. Polylines are for things that are not enclosed, so the starting and the ending point are not the same. And for polygons, like the starting and the ending point is same. Uh, so those are ways. And then the relation, so for example, if you map something like a bus route, so in the bus route will have multiple roads, multiple stops, like there are ways and nodes that combine into making those bus route. And for those kind of things, you use relations. And each of these elements, like in OSM, they have a unique ID. So once you make like those uh, nodes, like polylines, polygons, you need to specify what those things are, right? So in order to, for example, I just draw a rectangle. That could be anything. That could be a pond, that could be a building, that could be uh, a, a playground. So it could be anything. How do I define what that thing is using key and values. So for example, if I draw rectangle and then say like, okay, this is building equals to key is building and value is yes, then we know it's a building. What kind of building, we don't know. But if we further specify, like instead of just saying building yes, we say building equals to residential, then we say like, it's a residential building. Similarly for hospital, we can like use amenity equals to hospital. For bookshop, we can use shop equals to books. So so you can use those things to like describe what a thing is. So and we can use multiple tags, and as I said, like for example, when I showed the example of uh, the hospital, the Manipal hospital, where there were things like number of beds, ICU or not, ventilator or not. So you can use like multiple tags in one single feature, and that can be used to like describe that feature in detail. So for example, here we can see for bookshop, we are using the name, the phone number, the opening hours, URL, email, wheelchair access or not. So it's important like you understand these tags and follow these tags, because there are two things that it will allow, right? So remember that we talked about the concept of openness. So openness does not mean like just having that data, but also other people being able to use that data. So if there is a particular standard, then other people will be able to use the data that you have uploaded. So it's not just you using that data, but like it's everyone else also being able to use that data. And the second thing is like if you follow these standards, then what it allows you to do is like it allows you to get that data. So you don't have to create all the data yourself. You can engage the community to like generate that data, and then use that data once like the correct tag. So that's why tagging is important. So I won't get into too much details of tagging, because that can easily be a 1.5 hour long session. But if you want to learn more, you can like go to the OSM tagging wiki and then learn more. So in order to get the data, there are like different sites available. So one very popular is GeoFabric data extracts, where you can like get country level data downloads, and it's updated every day. And you have two options. You can either download data with user informations, or if you don't need, like you can do without the user information. But if you want to do with user information, you have to log in using your OSM account. So another very popular, but like for a smaller area, is BB bike extracts. So here you can like select a rectangle and then provide your email, and then it will send you in few minutes. It will send you a link from where you can download that. And it has limitation that the data can't be more than 512 MB, and then the square kilometer is also limited. And another drawback for using BB bike, it's the data is only updated on weekly basis. So we have a tool that we are developing at HOT as well. So it's called HOT Export tool. And here you can use it to like have more specific OSM data download. So not just like covering the whole area, but if you want to filter, for example, let's say if you want just the buildings, if you want just the roads, if you want just the water related features, so you can like use hot export tool to do that kind of things. And there are like few limitations with the export tool as well. So you can't do more than certain number of OSM nodes, and you need to like log in using your OSM account. If you want to go even more like further and have a very specific query that you want to query, you can use something called overpass API. So and and there is this website called Overpass Turbo that allows you to play around with Overpass API and work with a Overpass API and called Overpass Turbo. There are different instances for this, and another thing it allows you is like it allows you to use this wizard where you can, if you just know the tags, you can build and run queries in that. So this Overpass API and is also available in JOSM. So if you go to JOSM and enable the advanced editing feature in preferences, export mode, then whenever you download data from JOSM, JOSM is a tool for doing desktop editing. So in that, it's a very popular tool for more advanced editor, and there it also allows you to run Overpass API queries to get fetch data from OSM. So another thing you can do is, like, once you have that data, you can you'll probably need to clean it, filter it, work between different data formats. So there is this thing called OSM filter, so that allows you to filter the data, right? So for example, I download this whole extract of Nepal from GeoFabric, and from there I just want to extract on the highway. Then I use certain commands. So it's a command line tool, and it allows you to filter that data. Similarly, there is another very popular tool called Osmosis. If you are especially working with database, and if you want to fetch OSM data and then load it to some database, then it's very handy to learn further about this tool called Osmosis. So here I'm showing one example where Osmosis is being used to read the data from a OSM file, extract a bounding box, and then write it back to a smaller subset file. Yeah, so now I pass the mic to Sina.
Thanks, Nirav. And I'll also join Shidij here a little bit. This is just to, okay, maybe let me share my screen. All right. Are you able to see my screen now?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. All right. So this is also just to show you. We have shown you quite a few tools that is drawing on OSM, and we just wanted to also mention one of the more experimental tech solutions, because there are non-tech solutions also out there. Just to mention, and this is one project that started a few years ago, and it really started around, and I'm sure many of you have tried Rapid and have thought about the opportunities around using AI to more efficiently map. So right now we are experimenting with developing an AI that can be used, a tool that can be used so that you can make your own local model. So one of the research that was done with a hot volunteer showed that if you compare a global algorithms, if you or global models to local models that is receiving feedback from very local geographical contexts, it actually performs better. So this is, it started with an assumption, and then it started with a little bit of testing, and then some research. Not all solutions have to go through all of this, but this is a pretty big one. And I would actually like to call on Shidij, since we have Shidij here. He is our AI programmer here. So yeah, do you want to just tell us a little bit about where we're at right now, and maybe just share a little bit, Shidij, around your experience, taking part and developing this tool.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Anna. So Okay, talking about fair, as Sina mentioned, we also noticed since there were no free, like when we talk about free in open source, and also since there are a lot of AI developments around those tech things are evolving. So AI models, how we can use it around OpenStreetMap, how we can build the reliable data so that produced by AI, how we can accurately predict the features. This is our main motive before behind FAIR when we are developing it. So current status of FAIR is FAIR has a alpha version released, which means you can check out our GitHub repository to see what are the things that FAIR are using and what are the approach that we are following. And also, as Sinna is showing on the screen, this is the front end of FAIR, how FAIR looks like. FAIR can detect local buildings right now, so we are starting with buildings, but plan is to move further into detecting other features. So the major advantage, there are few major advantages of FAIR that we are thinking of, and here I would like open a floor for creative ideas that can be expanded within FAIR, can be used using FAIR. That FAIR can be used for creating a local models. What do we mean by local models? Is like, let's say, model in Copenhagen can be different, model in Kathmandu can be different, and also model in other places. Maybe it could be in your nearby places. You can develop your own AI model without having major expertise on machine learning algorithm, like the mapper or people who are creating models do not have to necessarily know the full architecture, how model is created, and etc. They can deploy them, create the model using AI, and then just like how Sinna is showing on the screen, that we can actually use some features. You can tell model what data, like this is my building, this is what I want the model to be detecting, so that they can be used from OpenStreetMap directly, bring back to FAIR. As you can notice, there are some square building and also some round shape building huts in order to able to detect buildings like this, especially on informal settlements. We believe FAIR will be useful. um, and so yeah, currently now we are working on beta version of FAIR, moving from alpha version, but you can try out, look into our GitHub repo, go through the tools we are using, and there is a room for innovation and research, how we can use it, maybe create you know or your own, how you can deploy your own local models, try it out on your computer. So FAIR is totally open source, meaning if you are machine learning enthusiastic, that is awesome as well. You can directly download the local model from FAIR, or like data. There is a data attached in GitHub. There is a sample data you can play with, and also there is a base model which is again public, so that you can even run it on your own local, and develop cool things around it, present idea. Mm, yeah, that is much it. Back to you, Sinna.
Fantastic. Thank you, Shidij. And before, just to say, this is also one of the issues that made this become something of a solution, was that we did see, okay, some of these more global models are actually not taking into consideration local context. So for instance, having round buildings or having tents or having all of this. So yeah, this is just one example. Okay, let me go to the next slide. I think we have oh, sorry. Yeah, Nira, before I move on, do you want to just say a little bit around the dates here?
Yeah, so we are having Hackfest in 11 countries. So initially we had 12 countries, but Japan decided like they're not going to do it. So now like we have 11 countries. So Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Tonga, Philippines, Kiribati, India, Bangladesh, Vietnam, Nepal, Thailand, and Macau. So here, like, we have local partners who will be organizing different events. So we'll be sharing those details, like when we have it from our partners, we'll be sharing through our channel as well. So please stay tuned to the Open Mapping Hub social media channels to get updates regarding Hackfest. But over next few months, there will be Hackfest happening in these 11 countries.
Fantastic. Thanks, Nirab. All right. So I'll talk a little bit about what you may start thinking about already now before or when considering joining the Hackfests. At the very, very core, or at the center of innovation, this fluffy concept doesn't really it's not really a broadly understood concept, and that's not so important. The whole process around what becomes innovation, I think, is more important, and that's what I'm going to speak about right now. And very often it starts with imagination before it even gets to an idea. But maybe more importantly, which I will tap into, what happens before you get to that idea stage. And maybe my sentiment here is aim for a great idea. Don't settle for a good idea. Try to, if you really want to stand out and come with a really impactful solution, it always starts with a great idea. I'm using this quote quite a lot because I think it's a very well put statement. So Albert Einstein at some point said, if I only had 1 hour to solve a problem, I would spend 55 minutes on the problem and then 5 minutes solving it. So I know the Hackfests, they will some will run for a couple of days, some will probably run for longer, but starting right now or starting before gives you a much better point of departure. And so what do we mean by that? So before you even start on your idea, and this is something that I've seen quite a lot over the past 15 years, when people want to get innovative or want to start working on an idea, very often the one thing that is missing is actually the stuff that goes on before. So in order to get to a really great idea, I would say do 3 things. First of all, identify a problem. I'll go into details, and I'll also show you, also share with you some useful tools, or at least that could be useful for you. But identifying the problem. And I would also say one thing that I observe within our community, and also in the community where I'm here, some of the creatives here in Copenhagen, is find something that you're passionate about. It might be a local issue that has been bugging you for years. It might be a very small issue that you really would like to solve. It might be technical, it might not be technical. But identify the core problem. Also, listen to people. At the end of the day, you will be building a solution that will be used by other people. These people are so important for your solution. If you're not speaking to your people, most probably it will not be as good as it can get. And then also define a challenge. I'll go through each of these now. So when we say identify problems, I mean, what is the problem or challenge that you tend to get passionate about and you would like to solve? And there's more techniques around this, and I'll share all of these links with you later. But there is one that is super simple. It doesn't have to take a lot of effort to invite or try a process that might take you to places that you really didn't think that you would end up. So one of these is the 5 whys. We use it quite a lot in our teams. And that is to start with one problem, and then you start digging. So there's one statement, and then you ask why. Why is this a problem? And then you get to the next statement, and then you say why again. You do that 5 times, and you will be surprised where you end. There's also something called a problem tree. I know there's quite a lot of my colleagues also using this. where you don't only surface, some of the potential of the problem, but you really go down to the root. And we also have this ready for you, so you can test that out with your team. And then I would say set a clear problem statement. There are templates to do that where you ensure to incorporate the people that you are actually want to solve a problem for. So this is also something that we will share. When it comes to listening to people, there's several ways to go about, but the core message here, or the core advice from our side here is really think about who are the people you are trying to solve a problem for, and what are their true needs. Some of the techniques that I find very useful here is there's something called empathy canvas mapping. It might sound a little bit fluffy, but instead of saying what are people, just saying this empathy canvas mapping also says what are they thinking, what are they perhaps feeling. Maybe you're observing them and you see, okay, in this particular setting they are acting in this way. All of that will be relevant for your solution. It might not be obvious in the very beginning, but I will assure you it will be relevant. And then there's, of course, interviewing, observing people. It can also be interviewing experts, depending on which direction you want to take. And I will say already now, if you ever want to spar, talk to someone outside of the Hackfests, we are here also to support on this. And then I would also say, this is something I try to practice every day. Be aware of your own assumptions. We assume things all the time. We assume that something might be a very good idea for everyone, but it might only be a good solution for, two and not the majority. Or we are assuming that if you use, maybe this is a good example, actually. In the beginning, if you remember the smartphones, there was an assumption that the color red would have, as a notification color, that would be a very good color because people would be alert and they would, go and check their messages or emails or whatever. What Google did a few years ago, and when they started digging deeper, is that they realized people are actually getting a little bit anxious around. We know this today, but people are getting anxious around their smartphones and the color red. When they pulled in color psychologists, they realized that if you're by changing the color from red, such an incremental change from red to light blue, people felt more at ease. They felt, okay, this is not urgent. I can wait a little bit. So be aware of your assumptions. Define a challenge. I think this will always be, especially if you really want to embark yourself on a journey where you get passionate and you get creative. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to stay focused. So one very good advice is to define a challenge. There's also some very good techniques here, and we will share this also. But how might we is a classic statement that is being used within design thinking, but also beyond. Even research, academia has started also inviting this into their research work. So this really, having that maybe at the center of your, if you have a whiteboard or you have a post-it in the middle, this will, keep your focus. All right, so now finally, time to generate ideas, and this is something that can take so many. This is where it gets chaotic, but bear with me and bear with yourself during this journey. So this is just an example here. So I'm not sure if you're aware of this. I only learned this a few months ago. The Velcro was actually inspired by a man who was walking his dog. So he was walking his dog, and all of a sudden he sees that these plants called burr was sticking to the fur on the dog. And then the story goes that he came home and he didn't really think about that anymore. And all of a sudden he realized, okay, wait a minute, there's something around the way that the burr sticks to the dog that can be perhaps transferred into something useful, and that became the Velcro that we all use and wear today. A very very interesting idea. I want to say, when it comes to generating ideas, all of these concepts like innovation, creativity, all of this is not the point here. What comes out of it is the true value. And one thing that I realize with most people, and including myself, is we tend to think, okay, being creative and creativity, that's for designers, and that's for architectures, and that's for everyone else. But actually, it's not. It all starts with imagination, and we all have that. So building that confidence, I really want to challenge you, as whether you're participating or your partners and you're organizing, trying to get people to have fun and to play around and invite. There's no silly ideas. Creativity is really, it's a mindset. So how do we try to how do we do this in practice? There are so many ways to go about this, but some of the things that we see, and this comes from research also, and we see this also in HOT, in the communities, invite diverse perspectives. I would say that's the very, very first one. When I say diverse, I'm not only speaking about perhaps, let's say that your solution will somehow affect different genders, then invite them perhaps into your team. It can also be, if you're looking at a solution like we're doing right now with AI, sure, the technical aspect is really important, but in order to truly develop a solution that goes beyond what we can even think about, we also want to speak to people who are thinking about ethics. We also want to speak about people who knows imagery in and out, because we are reliant on the imagery in order to get really, really good mapping assistance from the AI model. So you might also have a friend that is a little like myself. I tend to have 1,000 thoughts in your head at the same time. That can be useful in some cases, but it's also very useful to have people who are very detailed. So combining those perspectives and that diversity can be a very, very good starting point to get creative. And then celebrate bold ideas. There's really no bad idea in the beginning, and I might get to this later on, but there is. I remember when I started studying, there was some science that showed that just have a very thorough process around how you generate ideas and do it very systematically, and then you kill your darlings. You pick your battles and you kill your darlings. Then later on, and actually this is the research that is probably the most strongest these days, and that is showing that when you're generating ideas, it's actually quantity over quality. Generate as many ideas as possible in the beginning before you start picking out. You might be surprised, and we did like a little bit of a sprint, a creative sprint with a team, where we had all of these assumptions. We actually listed them down, and we saw, okay, what possibly more than this can come out. And then we sat with a team with people from 5 different countries, and all of a sudden we have a combination of 4 really, really, really good ideas, solid ideas, and that became one idea altogether. The last thing on this I will say is trust the process. Trust not only the process, trust the people. Trust that the people on your team, at least allow them to play around, and don't limit yourself too much. I understand you will have quite a little time during the Hackfest, but if necessary, and if you're getting excited, use that time and trust the process. This is my favorite philosopher. He died a few years ago. He's known for being a climber. He's actually known for climbing his own building. he was a professor in philosophy and the biggest philosopher in Norway. And he said this: so life is not a joke, but it's important to remember to joke or play in life. And he really did that until he died at the age of 95. Um, all right. So again, no ideas are bad ideas. And just to reiterate some of the key advice that we know from science and that we see from some of the processes that we're also taking part in, that is, generate as many ideas as you can in the beginning, as I just said. And also during this period, and maybe even starting now, try looking into how changing your habits might trigger some creativity in you. If you're not used to drawing, let's say that you have started thinking about a problem, and maybe ideas are popping up, write them down. And if you're used to coding, maybe try drawing that solution out. If you're maybe listening to new music, or start noticing things, and there's some random patterns. It might sound a little bit silly, but I promise you, it's all of a sudden coming out of nowhere. Some idea, some connections will hit. Then you have the unconscious mind. I know for some this might sound a little bit silly, but actually one of our greatest innovators out there, and when I say innovators, I'm not thinking only about tech, but also within science, including Albert Einstein, actually wrote dream diaries. I'm personally experimenting with this right now, and there's a lot popping up when you're not thinking about it. It doesn't have to be only in the dream. During dreams, it can be you're sitting in the middle of a conversation with your family and something pops up. I will say, write it down. If these ideas, if not even ideas, but if you have thoughts that is relevant to your solution or to your idea, write it down. And then most of all, I would say, have fun and release your inner playful child. There is so much research showing that we have spent, or maybe some would say even wasted, a lot of time thinking that being playful and fooling around a little bit with some of the concepts and the work that we do is it's a waste of time. But when it comes to wanting to get to impactful solutions and something new or something different, something unique, play is super important. To get a little bit hands-on here, some of the very useful techniques that I will advise you to test out are the following, and we will send you. I'll actually share with you also here. This is work in progress, and feel free to add things if you want. This is a public catalog of all of these approaches and tools and activities that you can test out. One successful one that, and I'm calling it successful because we have proof from Google again on this one. You can combine some of this, but the design sprint, it is originally set up to be a 5-day sprint where you turn off your phone and you're fully focused on this. But that doesn't have to mean that you can't copy paste some of the exercises there for your purpose. Of course, if you have time, I would say try the whole sprint for 5 days. It's amazing what comes out of these techniques. Reverse your brainstorming. So we tend to say that if we just pick our brains and we get it all out, that's the way to go. Actually, sometimes reversing it can be very useful. So that's also a technique that could be useful. Harvard has created this thinking toolbox where it actually poses some activities, but also some questions for you that can be relevant when you get to idea stage. And then I would also say get inspired by people and solutions that you like. If you have identified a solution that you really like, or you have people that inspire you. They might not know so much about technically what you want to do, but they might be inspiring for your end solution. And also, just to say, your idea does not have to be perfect. So wherever you start, this will be a process. It will be a journey. And I would just say, good luck, enjoy. We are here for you. If you, as I said, if you want to spar, if you're getting stuck, if you feel like you lose all control and this process is getting chaotic, just give us a call and we'll be there. All right, over to you, Nirab. I'm just showing this also. Maybe we can share the slide deck so everybody gets all the links that we have shared in the Jitsi.
Thank you so much, Sine. Yeah, definitely we'll share the slides. So for that, like, please register using the link that I shared.
I think
I
Yogesh
think, yeah, I
raised
think,
his hand. Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's not hand. I think it's like the emoji, clap emoji.
Oh, okay. Yes. Thank you.
I think we have one more question in Menti. So, so if you guys can, like, again log back to Menti. I think we had a question about like how we were able to like match those expectations that you guys had at the beginning, and also like your feedback for this.
Yeah, there's also a question. Maybe there's also a question.
Okay,
What are
so
the steps during the hackathon? Yeah.
Bipin, like for the hackathon, it so then the hackathon it depends on like where you are from. So we are fairly like advanced in terms of planning the hackathon activities for Nepal, Sri Lanka, and also like Kiribati. For Nepal, it's going to happen like 3 different events are going to take place. So one is going to take place in Pokhara, one is in Kathmandu, and one is in Bharatpur. So depending on where you are, we have like different partners. So you can send me a email or a message, and then we can chat depending on where you are. Like I can give you more information on the partners and how you can be involved. So cities, we don't yet have a central website, so we are planning to do that soon. So that will be launched soon. For Sri Lanka, there are 2 partners. One is GeoES and another is Youth Mapper chapter at Eastern University of Sri Lanka. So I think Anuradha and Sajivani, there are 2 like people from Sri Lanka here. So you can get in touch with them to know further about the Hackfest in Sri Lanka. Yeah, so there is my email address in the chat. Hamda, do you know like Sajivani? So if you know Sajivani, you can contact her.
Wonderful. And let me just add for the Menti. you're able to just give us a little bit of feedback, and your honest feedback. This is all anonymous. Maybe we didn't say that in the beginning, but it's useful for us to know how well we met your expectations.
Yeah, so I think we can go to the next question. I think we have one more question. Yeah. So similar kind of introductory training will happen like over the next few months, especially like we'll be supporting our partners to conduct these kind of training. So if you have any like feedback in terms of like what we could include, or what we could make like more clearer or cover furthermore, or anything that wasn't clear to you, so a few things that like you can suggest in terms of improving this webinar or this training, that would be great to have for us.
Maybe I see Bipin is asking, can you suggest some projects or sites made by using OSM? Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yes, so I think we will send you the slides. In the slides, like there are a lot of different resources available, so you can explore there. Yeah, so health sites IO is also one example. And if you like search the OSM wiki, you'll see like all the services, all the apps and everything made using OSM.
Wonderful. I'm wondering, Nidam, do you want me to stop the recording now, just so we have it?
Yeah, I think we can stop it now.
Okay.